Hey everybody, welcome onto another episode of the Bonetown podcast. This is episode 8, and today we have a special guest, Lance Laster, and a good friend of mine. Well, I hadn't seen him in a long time, but we went to U of H for a little bit. The short time I was there, super cool guy, very talented trombonist, and now music educator. But first, I got an ad from Cooooooogs. If you were to take an ad and a marketing agency, a graphic designer, and a screen printer, you'd get Gooseworks Screen Printing Studio, proud sponsor of the Bonetown podcast. Gooseworks has been designing and printing for local Houston businesses and organizations for over 7 years. Located at 3511 Pinemont Drive, Unit C2 in the Oak Forest area. Gooseworks Screen Printing Studio. You deserve this level of quality. Alright. So like I said, today I'll be catching up with an old friend of mine from U of H for the short time I was there, and just that short time I had a great time, and I met a bunch of people, and once I dropped out, unfortunately, everybody goes their separate ways, but today, let me introduce you to my friend Lance Laster. What's up, man? How you doing?
I'm good, man. How are you?
Great. Yeah, man, thanks for doing this once again. I appreciate you.
Not a problem. My pleasure.
Yeah, and like I said, it's been like way too long, man.
Yeah.
Like I was there 06, 07, I believe. So
those are some good years.
Yeah, man, some really fun times, man. I mean, I didn't really do too much in the music program, just, except for marching band and stuff. And just that time alone, I had a great time. I met you, Ogechi, Jonathan, so many other people, man, that super cool, and I still talk to through social media and stuff like that. And but yeah, man, so what you been up to? How's everything going? What are you doing nowadays?
I'm just trying to make it day by day at this point. That's what I'm doing. I teach a bunch of lessons privately. And then I'm adjunct professor at Lone Star College and San Jack.
Nice. Oh, yeah. Which San Jack campus is it?
Central.
Nice. Yeah. So before U of H, I went to San Jack Central for I think a couple semesters or 1 year, and that school was pretty tight, man. I wish I, kind of stayed, but things happen and whatnot. And how do you like teaching over there?
I like it. I like being Professor Laster. It's taken me a little bit of time to get used to that title, because apparently it's like automatic. You get these jobs, and then that's what you're referred to, when you're filling out paperwork or you're having to go and get stuff.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh yeah, or when students email you, they use that. I'm just like, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It reminds me a lot of when I first started teaching when I taught public school. When I started hearing Mr. Laster for the first time, I had to get used to that, because up until that point, Mr. Laster was my father. So, getting used to that was true.
That's funny, man. So, let's start with your origin story, I guess you could say.
Okay.
So what did you grow up in Houston? And if so, what part of town?
Sugarland.
Sugarland, nice, man. What school did you go to?
Dulles.
Dulles High School?
Yep.
Nice, man. That's awesome.
UHS.
What got you into music or wanting to play trombone?
My band directors in middle school, when they came and did their little recruitment thing when I was in elementary school, I thought it was cool, because they were playing instruments, and nobody else was doing, for the electives, did anything like that. They seem cool. They are cool. Shout out to Lisa Stiles and Joe Pruitt. And I just thought it was cool. And when I went to my tryout, I tried trumpet. I think I originally wanted to play trumpet because I had one. But I got drawn to the trombone. I tried that second, and trombone just looked, the aesthetic of it was so different from everything else. Mm-hmm. I was like, well, that's pretty cool. I want to do that. And, the more I practiced, the better I got, and then the better I figured I could do other things outside of just playing stuff in the beginner book. I figured out how to play songs on the radio or commercials or stuff like that. And then that just kind of got me more and more into it.
That's awesome, man. And then in high school, how can I say it? Like, how passionate were you about still playing music and stuff like that? Because I know, well, at my high school, you know, half the band would take it seriously, and then the other half would be like, I'm just in class. You know what I mean?
Oh, I was very serious about it.
Nice, man.
In high school, I think early on in high school, like that's when I kind of fell in love with music and being a musician.
Mm-hmm.
And so I kind of made that decision pretty early on that this is definitely something I wanted to try and pursue as long as I could.
Yeah.
And I think by the time I was a sophomore, I was just like, yeah, I'm going to be a music major.
Nice, man. That's cool.
Yeah.
Like, see, yeah, for myself, and I know there's other students out there that are probably, you know, trying to figure out what they want to do. Like, for me, like when I was in, you know, college, especially after high school, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I just knew music came somewhat easy, and I was able to make good grades in it. But I never thought I could make a living out of it, and I never really tried. Because, you know, it's hard to make a living out of music, and sometimes you know, very.
we both know that, like, probably more so than most people at the moment.
Yeah, and but yeah, like just one things led to another, and you know somehow I got to do what I was able to do and everything, and this is one of the reasons why I kind of started this podcast, because you know if there are students out there or young musicians that you know that are unsure of what they're doing, like you know, like don't worry, everybody's been there at a certain point, or you know if you do know what you want to do, you know early on, you know work at it, you know keep, you know it's yeah. But so after high school you went straight to U of H?
I did.
Nice. And how long were you there?
I was there from 04 to 09. I graduated in 09.
Nice, man. And then you were what was your major again? I'm sorry, just music education?
Music ed, but they call it something different. It was like Bachelor of Music with elective studies in music education. But I, you know, like it's just like, well, it's a Bachelor's of Music Ed degree. Like that's
yeah.
what it was. We had this fancy long title, but yeah, you know, music ed.
That's awesome, man. And then, what was your like first teaching assignment or first teaching job after college?
Like real job?
Yeah.
Like job? Okay. It was at Harvey Junior High in Alvin ISD, and I was there for 7 years.
Nice, man. How was that?
It was interesting. You know, it was a good job, but like with everything, it has its ups and downs.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, most teachers that you talk to, the thing that they enjoy the most is the actual teaching of the kids.
Yeah.
That's the best part. For me, the other stuff that goes along with teaching in public school was annoying. I'll say that.
That's fun. And then, so after you were at Alvin,
I worked with great people though, and so like those, like the interpersonal relationships are the positives that I keep and hold on to.
Yeah.
It's the other stuff that's outside of our control, or stuff that they that the other stuff that comes with teaching, the excess,
mm-hmm.
the stuff that nobody likes. That's the stuff that really grates on you.
Yeah. Like, so how was it teaching, because you said it was intermediate, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
How is it teaching, because you said you're teaching at college now, like how would you compare teaching younger kids and older kids? Like, it's obviously it's probably way easier to teach college students than younger kids that are like that, they don't have the mentality to be all like, I mean, they're just there to learn the instrument, you know what I mean?
I mean, in some cases, yes.
Yeah.
And also, in some instances, it's kind of the same, like teaching like a beginner versus, somebody who's older, because sometimes just depending on mindset, they're kind of doing some of the same stuff.
Yeah.
But I think the cool thing about the teaching younger kids is the excitability of doing stuff for the first time, especially like, with beginners, like it was cool for them to open their case for the first time, like after a month of being in band, like, and we were doing like music theory for like a month.
Yeah.
Like it was like the highlight of their week or their month when we opened the case and like we picked up a piece of it, or we picked up like, their Slido mix, and they got to see what the stuff was.
Yeah.
Stuff like that was really cool. Or making first sounds, playing the first line together, seeing people's progress. I think that's probably the coolest part of the job, is seeing, kids when they started from sixth grade, and then when you see them at the end of their sixth grade year, how far they come.
Mm-hmm.
And then same thing when you get them in seventh grade, and then you see how they are at the end of seventh grade, and then as an eighth grader about to go into high school, and then you check on them when you do high school stuff. But just the year to year and sometimes semester to semester progress is probably the most interesting part.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, because I know, growing up for me, I mean, I just did, I was just in there because it was the class I was in. At the time, I was, like I said, I didn't know I was going to do music full time or anything, but because, I just wish I wasn't the kid I was in high school. Like, I was just there just to be there instead of, like, learning and being passionate about it and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but, so after Alvin, where did you teach after that?
Well, after Alvin, that's when I moved to Philadelphia to go get a master's. So, and while there, I taught, that was the first time really teaching college level stuff, because I was the TA for the marching band. Nice. So shout out to all my Philly fam. And I also got to work with the symphonic band up there, and a couple other things too.
That's awesome. How long were you in Philly?
2 years.
2 years? Nice. Did you enjoy it up there?
Oh yeah, I love Philly.
Dude, Philly's pretty awesome, man. There's like
I'm a Texas boy through and through, but
same,
I love it.
Yeah, dude, Philly's so awesome. I don't know what it is about it. I don't know if it's just like
it's cool.
Yeah,
like,
it just
it has like it's being from Houston, you understand, like there's a definite like chill factor, like an H-town like chill factor to Philly that people don't really realize. I think a lot of people only hear the stereotypes about Philadelphians, and I think they hear the stories about like things that their sports fans do, which all sports fans are crazy. Let's keep it a buck.
Definitely. Yeah.
Philly fans are definitely very passionate about their sports teams, but that is not the entire identity of the city. I'd say the identity of the city is more chill than people realize, I really love that.
Yeah, man, it's beautiful over there too. I haven't been there in the wintertime. I definitely am not a winter guy. I hate snow. And but there's times where we're on tour and you're just in the snow. You have like no choice. And Scotty Lopez, what's up, man?
What's up, Scotty?
He goes, also trombones up front.
Yep.
Yeah. Philly's awesome, man. I loved it over there. And so a real important Philly question: what's your favorite cheesesteak place?
Max's.
Nice.
Max's in North Philly.
Nice. I'm gonna have to check that out whenever I get it around there again. Because there was a place, I'm trying to remember where I went to, because we did the Geno's and what was the other one?
Hats.
Yeah, and
okay.
I mean,
did you do Tony Luke's?
No, I did not. Nah.
Okay, Tony Luke's was good. I like Ishkabibbles. That's a pretty good one. Delisandro's is good, but my favorite was Max's.
Nice. Yeah, God, I just can't remember the other place I went to. But yeah, and then there was also a really cool, like a real Mexican restaurant, because that was one thing that, it was hard to find on tours, real Mexican food. And, when you come from Texas, Mexican food, you get like legit stuff. And so if you go to like Denver or, just anywhere outside of Texas, and you try to have, Mexican food, it's not the same. But we found a legit spot in Philly, and I was like, yeah.
See, I didn't even look. I didn't even bother. I was just like, I'm just gonna I basically had like Tex-Mex withdrawals when I was up there, and I had Tex-Mex and barbecue withdrawals. It was bad because like people would recommend me places, and I'd be just like, nope, I'm not gonna do it. Like I appreciate you trying to find me something, but I just don't trust it. I'm not gonna do it.
Yeah, man, it's always a gamble. Super gamble. What was some of the other things that you liked about Philly and your time there?
The culture, being able to have the arts community, with being engaged with the art community there. It's a whole lot different than what it is down here. That's for sure. Proximity to New York was cool, and a bunch of other places like that you could go and check out stuff. My access to the Philly Orchestra was huge.
That's awesome.
Oh yeah, for sure. And just again, like the people, there are really cool people there.
Yeah.
And also, I got my second year in Philly. That was that was the year the Stros won the World Series, and of course, I couldn't be here for that, so I miss all that celebration. But I was there when the Eagles won the Super Bowl, so I did
awesome.
get a championship parade in while I was there.
Dude,
so I didn't really. So it was nuts.
I bet, man. That's awesome. Yeah, I was about to ask you about that too. I was somewhere in Pittsburgh during the World Series, and we were in a hotel room just going crazy. I'm pretty sure we got a couple calls, but we didn't care though. It was totally worth the partying. Yeah. But that's cool that you were able to experience that Super Bowl parade, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. So after your time in Philly, you came back to Houston?
I did.
And then you started teaching at San Jack. And
no, San Jack is a recent job. I've only been teaching there a semester. So I came back and I didn't necessarily know what I was going to be doing. But then I started teaching lessons and doing master classes at various school districts because I still had contacts because from my time as being a band director, I just kind of put out feelers like, hey, I'm in town. If you need somebody to teach lessons or master classes, I'm available. And I just kind of built up a studio from that. And then the end of that first semester that I was back, because I moved back in like September of 18. And then by the end of the year, right before things shut down for Christmas break, that's when I got my Lone Star job. And so I started that in the spring of 2019.
Okay, cool. So short time there, and then all this happened.
Man, yeah.
So how have you been able to teach lessons? Obviously via Skype and everything. But like, how's it been? Like, how accurate do you feel like you're able to get your point across, or your teaching methods?
My teaching method, hasn't necessarily changed.
Yeah.
But I think, like, I can still be effective, but not in the way that I was when I'm face to face with somebody. Mm-hmm. I could still obviously, tell you if, notes and rhythms are correct or incorrect, but hearing nuance is the hardest thing, especially with a young player when trying to make sure that they're doing the right things fundamentally. That is a little bit difficult because I can't be there to really see and diagnose problems if they're doing something weird with their face and stuff like that. Like, you can kind of see, but it's better if you're there in person. Yeah. Same thing with like slide technique, because you can only tell so much sometimes, and sometimes depending on internet connection and if there's a lag or if they freeze, that type of stuff, and it's hard to tell if they're rushing or dragging or not because of connection and stuff. So, but yeah, I think hearing nuances is the hardest thing to do via online. Everything else you can do and you can make work, but that's probably been my biggest struggle.
Yeah. Man, I bet it's because there's nothing like being in the same room and hearing like you were saying, the nuances about everything and that person's playing and whatnot. What have you been doing yourself in order to like keeping chops up or your daily routine, I guess?
Well, I kind of took like a little bit of a break because I didn't have my horn for about 6 months.
Yeah. I did see something like that. Yeah.
Well, because like I put it in the shop for like a routine maintenance, like before Thanksgiving break. So this is how far back this story goes. And then after Thanksgiving break, I call to see, when I should expect my instrument, because I figured it wouldn't be ready like the Monday after Thanksgiving break because the people in the shop went on Thanksgiving break. So I was figured I'd get it later in the week. But instead of telling me when I should be able to come in, they were like, you need to come in and see this. I'm just like, oh boy. And so, the lacquer of my instrument came off and during the cleaning, and I was like devastated. So there's this long drawn out process, about, who was going to take care of it, how it was going to get taken care of, and all this other stuff, where it was going to go. And then, when all that stuff was finally settled, it got sent off to where it was going to get sent to. And then COVID happens, and then things are shut down, and they're shut down until things reopen. And so it's not like I can call and check on progress because there's not going to be anybody there.
Yeah.
But I finally got it back. So right now I'm just doing fundamentals. I was given a loaner, but I didn't enjoy playing on it. It's not the same.
Yeah.
Especially because I play on a Courtois, Legend 420. So so shout out to Courtois, but it's it's not the same when you get some loaner, instruments. It's regardless of the quality, it's not yours. And so I was bummed about that. But I did some fundamentals just to keep my face up, and then I kind of took some time off, and then now I'm getting back into things. So I kind of stay with my Arbans book. I'm a big Arbans guy, so I go through that book. About every 6 months, I do the first 30 pages for sure. I do all the chord studies. I do a lot of that book, and I do it in various ways, multiple octaves, that type of thing.
Nice. Yeah, I've been kind of trying to be on myself because I was already bad at practicing in general. I'm terrible, and but since everything started happening, just being home, I kind of locked myself in my room and just kind of and force myself, look, dude, you're gonna do long tones for 30 fucking minutes or something. I'm just because I've never worked on that stuff ever, and everybody I talk to is like, dude, long tones, man, long tones, just basic fundamental stuff, and I'm like,
yeah,
and it's boring, and I get it, but I have the time now and the patience because I have nowhere to be, and so I've been doing it, and I can definitely hear a difference, feel a difference. Things are coming out a little easier, and I wish I did this a long time ago, but I'm better off now than never. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, no, I know. And the thing is, for me, doing fundamentals was never a chore because I think it was just ingrained in me from my band upbringing to do them all the time. It was a huge proponent of everything that we did. And so doing fundamentals is never a bad thing. I don't really think twice about it. I just do it. And so I like to think that I'm fundamentally sound for the most part. I can make notes sound consistent and that type of thing. So it doesn't bother me, but I see how it can bother other people though.
Yeah, because man, I don't know. I was just a really bad student. I just anything the teacher would say, I was like, yeah, whatever. Kind of that was just my attitude, and I hate that I was like that. But now I see the importance of it, and just spending the time and doing it. I understand why they try to instill it into us early enough, so when we are older, a professional, if we're still doing this, and why it's so important. And but I just, that's what I've been working on and trying to get motivated to keep doing it, because there's also a difference from I talked to a few other trombonists about show chops. You're playing in your house, and you're not playing too loud like you would at a show or something, and or a performance, and or there's not the I don't know how to explain it, but you just don't play with the same I
know it's different. It's like when we were back when we were marching band, that type of volume that you played with there is quite different from your volume that you would play in any other type of setting. But for me, like if you were a trombone and practice nerd like I was, like that was something that I practiced like in the summertime, especially like when I was younger because my parents weren't home, so like I could easily just kind of cut loose, play as loud as I wanted, but I like worked on doing it so that way I mean you got to hear some of it like in U of H when I was like playing really really, really loudly. That was because like I'd worked on it and it was fun to do.
Yeah. That's awesome. Oh, that's cool, man. So, and you were in a band like outside of just like like school bands and stuff like that. Like I think you were with Nick Greer, right, at one point.
I was.
Yeah,
I sure was.
yeah. Because at the time I was playing in a Latin punk ska group, Los Carnales, and I was just
Yep.
I remember seeing a picture and I was just like, is that Lance? I was like, wait,
Yeah,
that's Lance, and that's Ace. Like that's
yeah.
awesome. Yeah, and
I'm pretty sure weren't we like at the same like venue for something? Like either you opened for us or we opened for y'all or something like that.
I think it
It's
was
like
like the Houston Press Music Awards stuff or something like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. How fun was that, man? Y'all look like y'all had a great time playing, man.
We did.
Yeah.
It was fun. We got to do some cool stuff with that. Like we got to, we recorded an album,
Hmm.
still on Spotify. I still maintain that album still slaps. It's still it's still really good. We got to do the whole Free Press Summerfest thing. That was probably the highlight of our tenure with Nick.
Hmm.
We had a residency at several different places where we played weekly. The former Capitol on St. Germain, the Corkscrew Wine Bar in the Heights. Before that, we did Phoenicia for a little bit before we got kicked out for being too loud. And then also like we played, during South by Southwest. Nobody really came to our show because like Snoop Dogg was performing at the same time. But
Oh shit.
that's a I don't blame people for going to go see Snoop instead of us.
Yeah, man. Yeah, South by is crazy, man. How many shows were y'all able to do over there?
Just one.
Just one?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. South by, man. Like there was a time where we did it, and we did like a few shows, and oh my god, it's everybody doesn't understand like what the madness is over there. Parking
Yeah.
sucks. I mean,
Yes.
no one cares who you are, and that's
I
fine.
know.
But no one helps out. Like, especially, I feel bad for the drummer, man. They have all this shit that they have to,
Yeah.
like drag, and no one's helping. And I'm just like,
Yeah.
damn, like I don't know, it's crazy, man. But have you played with any other groups besides Nick?
Well, no. Well, because like after we stopped playing with Nick, we tried to start something else up.
Mm-hmm.
And then that kind of fizzled out. And then at that point, that's when I moved.
Mm-hmm.
And then I came back. And then there was something that kind of started up. And then that kind of morphed into what I'm kind of doing now. I'm working with a very talented vocalist, Martell Lacey.
Nice.
Shout out to Martell. Definitely check out his YouTube channel. He is incredibly talented. And excited about, what we could be doing coming up soon here in the future. But yeah, that's kind of all I'm doing at the moment. Because it would have been cool if some of that other stuff like had panned out after Nick,
Mm-hmm.
but it just did because life gets in the way.
Yeah.
But hopefully this new thing will kind of pan out as well. And I'm also playing with another group. We did a show prior to COVID in December. And right now we're just doing a whole bunch of covers, but we haven't gotten to practice since all the things have gone down. So I'll be excited to get back with them too.
Nice. What kind of group is that one?
It's kind of hard to describe. We just kind of play a bunch of everything. So and at this point it's all covers, no originals yet. So
Yeah.
we've covered everything from Valerie to I'd Rather Go Blind mashed together with Tennessee whiskey. So
Nice, man. Oh man, I want to hear this. This sounds cool,
Yeah.
dude. Y'all have like a page, or you got to send me links to some of the stuff so I can post in a description page like later on YouTube and stuff like that.
Okay.
But
Will do.
But that's cool, man. That's really awesome. Yeah, and hopefully once live music gets back around, which telling no, I don't know when that's gonna happen. So probably sometime next year. I hate to
Yeah,
I
it's
hate.
gonna be 2021.
Yeah, it sucks, man, because it's like, what are you gonna do? But
Yeah.
the cool thing is the relationships that I have made through the podcast. I feel like I'm
Hmm.
bringing somewhat of a community together as well.
Yeah.
And because not Houston's a really big city, obviously, and there's so many good musicians in the city, and it's kind of cool
Yes.
to highlight some of the cool musicians that I've met and some that I haven't met yet. And
Yeah.
but yeah, hopefully things will get back soon. So you started a podcast, correct?
I did.
Nice. What's the podcast about?
Uh, it's called Always Hold On to Arrow, but I'm talking about the TV show Arrow that was on the CW from 2012 through 2020. It just ended.
Nice, man. Dude, I love. Well, Arrow was the first DC TV show that I started watching, and then I started getting into the Flash.
Hmm.
Which one's your favorite?
Arrow. I mean, obviously. I'm
Oh
doing a
yeah,
podcast.
yeah.
But no, like I mean, I still watch all those. But I mean, it's no secret to people that know me. I'm a huge nerd, so like I'm not like shy of any of that. But yeah, like I've been podcasting for I think since like what 2012, 2013.
Hmm.
Just being like a guest on other people's podcasts. I did a lot with my friend who has a podcast called Always Hold On to Smallville because huge fan of that show. So shout out to my friend Zach and that podcast. So I'm on that. I'm on a lot of episodes of that. I've been on several Star Trek podcasts, basically as like their black correspondent when they want to talk about the episode where Tasha is basically kidnapped by a an alien race of black people. Like it was like, hey, let's talk to Lance about that one, or talk to Lance about Far Beyond the Stars or The Visitor. It's like cool, sure. But this is the first time that I'm having like my own, so that's pretty cool.
That
And
is
it's
awesome.
myself and my new friend Cavante. Shout out to Cavante. Yeah, it's just the two of us talking about Arrow.
Nice, man. Yeah, I love the crossover episodes too. I don't know about you, but I think they're like super awesome, especially the last Crisis.
Crisis.
Yeah.
Crisis. Like I'm on record. I'm on like actually on wax saying I was like they better bring it because like when I remember a year ago when they first came out with like the the teaser for that's what the crossover was going to be in 2020 or 2019 at this point. I was like, all right, they better bring it,
Hmm.
and they sort of did, and they sort of didn't.
Yeah.
But you'll hear us talk about that when we get there. But no, the crossovers were a huge deal
Yeah.
because shows didn't really do this, and not with the frequency that the CW did. So like I give them a lot of credit for being able to make some of that type of stuff happen.
Yeah, definitely. Especially, I mean, like it just in general, DC movies haven't really done it for me. Especially like the reboot like ones. Like Christian Bale, Batman like trilogy. That's obviously my favorite. Like,
Okay.
once they started doing the Justice League and Batman versus Superman, I don't
Oh, the
know.
DCEU.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, DCU.
Okay. Well, see, here's the thing. So, um, the DCEU, I think their main problem is that they don't have like a core identity
Hmm.
outside of they don't want to be Marvel. And
Yeah.
and if that's the case, and that's what it seems like to me, then that's why their movies, in my opinion, haven't been as well received, and that's why there's so much turmoil with their production, and that's why everything's always getting moved back, and they're changing directors and they're changing actors and doing all this other stuff, and then and all that kind of goes into why their product hasn't been as good.
Yeah.
It just is what it is. But no, I hear you on that because like there's stuff that the CW does on TV better than the DCEU has,
Hmm.
which is like they don't have the resources you do. So like why is like why is this so difficult?
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, no, like these, you know, if I had, if I had my way, I would, myself and like a group of friends would like run Warner Brothers and like do the right thing and and try to get them to do like and fix their movie problems.
Yeah, man. I mean, I still watch them, and but man, like I just know it could be better. Like I'm really curious on how the Snyder Cut's gonna be. Like I want to know, like
I I'm curious about it, but I think that I don't think it's going to ultimately
change
be
it.
like the saving grace for it. I don't think it's going to fundamentally change anything.
Yeah.
Because remember, Snyder has under his belt in the DCEU, he has Man of Steel, which was just okay.
Mm-hmm.
He has BVS, which wasn't very good. And then he has half of Justice League, which his half was just kind of all right, I guess. And then Whedon's half was not very good.
Yeah.
And so if all he's done so far has just been all right, I don't think that his cut of the movie will ultimately save what's been going on. Because the best movie in the DCEU is Wonder Woman.
Yeah. Yeah, that was really good, man. I liked Aquaman.
It's head and shoulders above everything else.
Yeah, Aquaman was all right, but definitely Wonder Woman was definitely my favorite, and it was great, and I'm really looking forward to the new one too coming out later on. Yeah, that's gonna be really good. Are you into like any video games? Are you a gamer?
I haven't really been a gamer for a while. I think the height of my gaming prowess was when we were at UH, and I would do like the Madden and 2K tournaments in the towers.
Yeah.
That was like me at the peak of my powers. But yeah, I haven't really like I will make time to play certain games. Like like when Spider-Man PS4 came out, like I definitely made time to do that.
Yeah.
And I'll give the new version of the sports games a try, but then I get bogged down with other things. So I'm not really playing as much as I used to.
Yeah, I just got my first like a system since like Xbox 360. I got a Nintendo Switch recently, so
Okay.
I was lucky enough to find one because it was sold out everywhere, and just to kind of keep me busy at home, not going crazy and stuff like that. But yeah, I've been on an Animal Crossing binge, man.
I've heard that game is really fun.
Yeah, I mean, I played it before on like a friend's 3DS, or I had a 3DS as well, but a friend let me borrow the game, and I mean, it was fun, but I just, at the time I didn't have the time for it. And so, but now that I have all the time in the world, man, I've been playing too much. What's life for you been like during this pandemic, man? Like how are you trying to stay safe? What are you doing to keep sane?
Oh well, to stay safe, I'm not really going anywhere outside of Kroger, the drive-through. Yeah, it's pretty much the only places I go.
Yeah.
And when I do, I wear a mask. And then, when this first hit, like it happened while I was on spring break. Mm-hmm. So I was already like on a weird schedule anyway. And then I kind of waited a week to see what would happen. Yeah. And then after that point, I was just like, all right, well, I need to figure out a way to work. So I, scheduled all my online lessons at that point. And then I finished out the semester at, both San Jac and Lone Star. Because while there, I also teach American music, which is like a history of American pop music, basically, in America.
Yeah.
So I teach that class also. So I basically made a huge schedule and figured out how to do all that. Basically, that kind of took me through May doing all that stuff.
Yeah.
And then I took a little break. And then I started just teaching summer lessons for the kids that wanted it.
Yeah, that's awesome, man.
And then outside of that, like keeping sane, like I still have books I read. I still have my comics to read. I have shows to watch.
What shows are you watching?
repeats of things,
Yeah.
for sure. I binged Avatar: The Last Airbender as soon as it was made available on Netflix.
Nice, dude.
Just kind of scrolling through, my subscription things and to see what interests me, and then I'll watch it. Because most things that either like I haven't really watched anything new yet, and most things either like I've already seen them or I'm familiar enough with them and I haven't gotten to them yet. Like I'm finishing up like the Marvel shows, because I hadn't watched Iron Fist yet, and so I'm kind of slogging through that.
Yeah.
Because it's not very good spoilers.
Yeah.
But the stuff like that.
Yeah, nice, man. What are you reading?
I like reading philosophy books and like psychology books on like the comic book characters that I love. So like for example, I'm reading Black Panther in philosophy, and the psychology of Daredevil, just stuff like that.
That's awesome.
I read stuff like that, and I like reading historical nonfiction.
Nice. Yeah.
In addition, because like I get enough fiction and fantasy stuff with like my comic books.
Yeah.
But like my actual like books, I read like philosophy or nonfiction historical things.
Yeah, a friend of, well, first this podcast I listened to, last podcast on the left, they're like, crime, they like true crime, they talk about serial killers and conspiracy theories and stuff like that. But one of the guys on there kept talking about Dune. And and then on top of that, I saw that they were making a movie, and then they put some stills out on the internet of the movie, and I was like, damn, this looks like really good. And then the guy kept talking about the book, and I was just like, well, I'm gonna have to check this out. So I bought Dune and I started reading it, and then another trombone friend.
What
was that?
Do you like it?
Yeah, it's really good, man. And I've been trying to read more often, and I've been trying to put down the video games and like social media and my phone and trying to read more, and it is definitely helping out. And was another book my friend recommended. Shout out to JJ. I just had him on the podcast last week. The 3-Body Problem, and it's like a sci-fi book. And but yeah, I'm into like sci-fi, just like stories and books and stuff like that. I'm big into aliens too, so
nice.
Yeah, so that last podcast on the left, they interviewed what's his name from Ghostbusters, God, I can never remember his name.
Bill Murray?
No, Blues Brothers guy, Dan Aykroyd.
Really?
Yeah, they interviewed him, and they were talking about his experiences with paranormal and extraterrestrial stuff. Super good interview. I'm gonna have to send you that link, especially if you're into that kind of stuff.
Okay, well, I have another suggestion for you. If you're into the paranormal and aliens and stuff like that, UFOs. Friend of mine, shout out to my friend Mike DeMonte. He's written 3 books now about that type of stuff.
Oh,
so you can look up his stuff. It's on Amazon. He has his newest one came out. I think it's called Stranger Than Fiction.
Why does that sound so familiar? Stranger Than Fiction. Okay, Stranger Than Fiction. I'm writing this down.
Yeah.
What was
that's his third book. I can't remember the titles of his first 2. But,
what was his name again?
Mike DeMonte. So Mike and then DAMANTE.
Nice. Gonna check that out, man. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's cool. Whatchamacallit? So we've covered some music. We've covered some stuff that you've been doing, your activities during the pandemic. Are you big into cooking, or do you like? Are you more?
Not really, but I did help make bread though.
Nice.
So that was I got to cross that off of my quarantine checklist of things to do.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, we've been cooking a lot more, so we don't have to go, pick up something to eat. But it's just, to me, it's really like relaxing, meditating, kind of like not thinking about anything except for making food and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and but yeah, I'm big into food too, so I've been trying to step my game up. I'm a big coffee guy too, so I've been
Okay.
making pour over coffees every morning, iced
I,
coffees because it's so damn hot.
yeah.
Yeah, man. But is there anything else? So you're still doing lessons, correct? And
Hmm.
I'll make sure I'll plug in your email. And so if anybody
Yeah.
out there that wants to do some lessons, and I mean, shoot, I wouldn't mind taking some lessons too, man.
Hey, man. Cool.
Get
That'd be
my
fun.
get my chops up, bro.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, is there anything else you want to plug in?
Um, no, not really. I mean, like, if you want to get in touch with me, you can email me at lasterlowbrass@gmail.com. All my social media is the same. It's at Sir Lance Laster, so you can find me on any of the main platforms. I don't have any of the weird ones. I don't have TikTok or anything like that, but
Nah.
I, but I have the big, what,
The
two
big,
or three. So,
yeah.
Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, even though I don't really use Snapchat, but I have it.
Yeah, I don't really use it either.
Yeah.
But God, what I was gonna ask you, just one last thing. I already forgot. My mind went blank, man. Whatchamacallit? But yeah, definitely we'll link up for sure, man.
Mhm.
It was really great, like catching up. Um,
Likewise, man.
yeah, it's been like I said, it's been way too long, but I'm
Way
just
too
glad I
long.
have the time to be able to have this downtime to be able to reconnect with everybody and see how
Mhm.
everybody's doing and just talk. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, man. Absolutely.
Well,
That's
thank.
like technology has made it easy to do certain things, and it's cool to when it works in your favor.
Oh yeah, definitely, man, for sure. Well, thanks a lot, Lance. I really appreciate it, man. And it was great talking, catching up, and I'll definitely plug in all your stuff at the description on our YouTube page and whatnot.
Appreciate it, man.
Yeah, man.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Fun.
Until next time, brother. You have a good
All right,
one.
man. You too.
China. Where is this at? All right, everybody. That was latest edition of the Bonetown podcast, episode 8 with my friend Lance Laster. We had some really cool stuff to talk about, and I have one more cool thing to talk about, which is Gooseworks. My friend Gustavo at Gooseworks, he has a screen printing studio, and not only that, he has his own apparel line that you can find at gooseworksart.com. He has all kinds of stuff. He makes his own. He has masks. He has these really cool swim trunks that I got hooked up with, and you can find that at his on his website gooseworksart.com. Proud sponsor of the Bonetown podcast. And again, thank y'all so much for tuning in. If I have my next two guests booked, so next week we'll have my friend Robert from LA. Our next, actually, our next two episodes will be featuring my homies from LA, Robert, trombonist for a band called Matamosca, and I'll have and the following Friday I'll have my friend Quinn Carson. Quinn's gonna be a really cool hang for sure. We'll be talking not only about trombone and music. He records a lot from home, so if you are a musician and want to learn how to record from home a lot better, Quinn is the man. He does a lot of home recording, and we'll definitely be getting in touch on that side because I have a lot to learn about home recording, and I think it'll be a good learning experience. So, thank y'all again for tuning in, and we'll see y'all next time.